Hello, my name is Nick Bucher, and I'm a senior computer science major at the University of Alabama. For Creativity in Computers, a class at New College that I took, we had a creative project that we did in our last month. And it was of our choosing, and I chose to do a 3D animation in Blender of a hero fighting a dragon. And I'm going to take you through the steps. So originally, I planned to include a complex environment and characters, but it ended up my laptop couldn't handle animating all this geometry. So Blender crashed on me a ton of times when I was animating it. So this is the original scene that I made, and you can see that the meshes for the dragon and the hero down here are fairly complex. And so because of all those problems I was having with the animation, I restarted modeling with less geometry. This is the new scene that I made for the animation. The hero and dragon here are really low resolution, and this made the animation process go a lot more smoothly. Once I finished modeling these characters using the Blender skin modifier, I created an armature which I then used to pose the characters. And you can see the armature here, and you can see how easy it is to change the position of each of these characters using these armature tools. So here's the animation view in Blender, and over here on the left you can see all the keyframes that make up this animation. Now I can scroll through these keyframes to show you what the animation looks like. And to get a better view, I can zoom into the camera preview and play through the entire animation. You can set keyframes for the camera using that camera view. So, for example, I could move the camera around in the preview view and set a new keyframe to here, for example, and the animator in Blender would interpolate all the frames in between the previous keyframe and the current keyframe that I just made. And the same way, the same interpolation works for each of the bones of the characters. For example, right here, if I wanted to make a new keyframe for this dragon's wing, I could create a keyframe, and then Blender would automatically interpolate the frames in between those keyframes. Once the animation was finished, I worked on adding materials and texturing the characters. To add materials, you go down to this Materials tab in Blender and select an object, and you can edit the materials on that object. And to view the materials, you can go down here and select Material Mode, and that will show a preview of the material in this preview panel. So over here, you can tweak these materials and get it to look look like the surface that you want. So in the Materials tab, you can also set a texture to be used on one of these objects. So in order to make a texture, for example, the texture that I made for this dragon, what I would do is generate something called UV maps. So to do that, you go into edit mode and select all the faces and unwrap them. And so for this project, I did Smart UV Project, which intelligently takes all of the different faces and unwraps them onto a plane. So what that looks like is here. Once you have this, you can go to UVs and then export UV layout. And what that does is it gives you a image with outlines on where the faces of the UVs are. After you export the UV layout, you get something that looks like this. And you can see the outlines of the UVs here. The next step would be to fill in these UVs with color or some sort of texture. So to start, I numbered the UVs and put a gradient on the background just so I could see where each of these faces were on my model. And after you make edits to this, you can save it and then go back to Blender, and you'll see your changes after refreshing the texture on the material. So after doing this and figuring out which faces go where, I started painting in the textures on my dragon. So there's the face, and then I just laid in the colors that I used for the rest of the body. And that's all. So next I'm going to just play for you the final video of what my animation looked like once it finished rendering.